Just 10 seconds to go before Elizabeth Green takes off. And a good start without any major issues for Green. She makes her way around the bend and down the back straight. She's a quarter of the way through already. Around the bend now and down the front straight she comes. She's going to get the bell. 22.389, the first lap time for Green. Half a lap now to go for the Australian. As she makes her way around the bend and down the front straight towards the finish line. She's going to post a time of 38.38 seconds to beat. Caitlin Kelly, the next rider to take the track, representing New Zealand. Good start out of the gate there for Kelly. Out of the bend and down the back straight she now goes. And now down the front straight to collect the bell. Splitting first, 21.435. Half a lap to go now for Kelly. She makes her way around the bend and down the front straight. Can she hold on? She's going to cross the line and set a new fastest time of 37.278 seconds. And Kelly now enters the hot seat. Lucy Hall now taking to the track for Australia. Relatively good start by Hall there. Down the back straight she goes. Accelerating well, she now sits down. Makes her way around the bend and down the front straight. And she gets the bell. 1 lap to go, she splits second, 21.784 seconds. The time for her after the first lap. Half a lap to go now for Hall as she makes her way down the front straight. She's going to approach the line and set the second fastest time so far, 38.017 seconds. Megan Baker without any major issues. She comes out of the gate. And as she crosses the halfway mark on the track, she sits down and now starts to make her way forwards. Splitting first, 21.113 seconds. Her time after the first lap. She now has half a lap to go. And she makes her way around the bend down the front straight. It looks like she is going to hold on to that position, 36.914. The new fastest time set by the New Zealander. Down the front straight we go now. And it looks like Maya Dillon taking the track there. Or looked like she maybe just came out of the gate a bit early there. But otherwise a good acceleration from Maya Dillon as she makes her way down the back straight. She now starts to sit in and make her way down the front straight. She gets the bell. Splits first, 20.736 seconds. The time for the Australian after the first lap. Half a lap to go now. And Dillon makes her way around the bend, down the front straight towards the line, and is going to set the second fastest time by 18 thousandths of a second. Coming onto the track now. We have Jodie Blackwood from New Zealand. Blackwood getting away pretty well there. She starts to make her way around the bend and now down the back straight. New Zealander sits in her seat, making her way down the front straight, and she splits second after the first lap, 20.991 seconds. The time as she gets the bell, half a lap remaining now in the race for Blackwood. Out of the bank, down the front straight and towards the line. She is going to move up into first, 36.876 seconds, the new fastest time, unofficially securing herself at least the silver medal. Lilia Tatarinov to take the track now, our final rider. Riding for the Central Coast Cycling Club. We won't hold that against her. A very, very strong young sprinter. She's really been showing her dominance over the past few days. Very, very well-timed start by Tatarinov. She makes her way down the back straight. Good half lap. She now sits in and makes her way down the front straight to collect the bell. She splits first, 20.23 seconds. The time for the Australian, half a lap now remaining in her race. As she makes her way around the bend and down the front straight towards the line, Tatarinov sets a new fastest time by over a second. 35.552. The time by the Australian, getting herself a very convincing gold medal. Up next, we have the elite women's Omnium elimination. Just a quick update on the points currently in the Omnium. Chloe Moran, Emily Shearman and Sammy Donnelly in a three-way tie for first on 74 points. Sophie Edwards on 64 in fourth. Lucinda Stewart in fifth on 60. Riley Mullen in sixth with 56. Sophie Marr just 2 points down in seventh. Ali Anderson with 50 points in eighth. Ella Sibley with 46 in ninth. Jessie Hodges with 42 in 10th. The whistle goes and our riders are pretty quick around the track in neutral. Fast as we've seen them so far. The gun goes to start the race, and coming around the outside, that looks like Jess Hodges. Hodges in the middle, being held up by Sophie Edwards. And the bell goes. For the first elimination lap, Hayley Fuller stuck towards the back there. Belle Judd also in a pretty dangerous position with very little room to move. Amelia Sykes slipping to the back as well. And it's Amelia Sykes, that's the first rider to be eliminated. Down the front straight she comes. And the bell goes. Fuller still at the back in a dangerous position, but she does have room to move forward. Judd, on the other hand, will have to wait for a hole to open up. It's looked like that's what's going to happen. Alex Martin-Wallace in a bit of danger as well. But Hayley Fuller is too far back. Martin-Wallace getting pretty lucky there. Moving up the inside there is Sophie Marr by the looks of it. And moving forwards around the outside, that looks like Ali Anderson. Over the top, Chloe Moran taking the wheel of Anderson. Leaves Sophie Edwards getting pushed back down into third. Ella Sibley has to move up to get herself into a bit of safety. We come down the front straight. Shearman starts to pull away. And it's Alex Martin-Wallace that's the next to go. Around the bend and down the front straight we come now. The bell rings. Shearman in front. Down the back straight now. And down the front. We make our way around the bend. Hodges, Jess Hodges is the next rider to go. And it looks like she knows it. Nicola McDonald stuck at the back there. She'll need to put in a bit of work to get herself into a bit of safety. The bell goes. Belle Judd again, looking like she's in a pretty dangerous position, but I've said that almost every time, and she's somehow managed to get away with it. Prudence Fowler needs to move forwards as well. And Nicola McDonald is the next to go. Emily Shearman still leading. Chloe Moran at her hip as we come down the front straight. The bell rings again. Ella Sibley stuck at the back. Sibley now trying to make her way forwards. Maybe trying to follow the move of Sammy Donnelly, who's pulling a few riders up, which means Prudence Fowler is stuck at the back, and it looks like Fowler will be the next to go as Sammy Donnelly takes the lead. Chloe Moran takes her wheel. Riley McMullen there trying to move forwards, get herself a better spot. Moran just pushing up, trying to keep herself in a bit of open air as the bell rings again. Over the top goes Sophie Edwards, trying to improve her position. Lucinda Stewart trying to follow. Chloe Moran riding very well, always keeping herself second wheel or at the hip of first wheel. Ali Anderson trying to come over the top of everyone, very close for the line, but it might be Sophie Sutton. It's Sophie Ma that's the next to go. Down the back straight. Around the bend. It's Ali Anderson in front. The bell rings. Belle Judd and Sophie Sutton at the back in a spot of bother. Ella Sibley might also be in a bit of danger. Down the back straight we go, and we start to head around the bend. And Sutton has opted for the inside, and it was a bad move. She'll be the next to go. Out of the bank and down the back straight now. Emily Shearman in the lead. Down the front straight. The bell rings again. Sibley needs to move forwards around the outside. She looked like she was trying to have a look up the inside. She's since changed her mind. She's going to try to go around, and it looks like she did enough. The bell rings again. Sibley still at the back. Sophie Edwards just in front of her. Edwards has really been towards the front of the race for the majority of it. Now she's in second last wheel. She's starting to push forwards around the outside. Looks like Sibley's going to be the next to go. Coming down the front straight, the bell rings again. Anderson coming over the top and putting in a bit of a gap to the riders behind. Chloe Moran now closing that gap before anyone does it instead. Down the front straight we go. Anderson still in front. Chloe Moran holding on well to her second wheel position there. It's a close call between Sammy Donnelly and Sophie Edwards. Sophie Edwards just coming and pushing her way into the wheel of what looked like she was trying to get Ali Anderson. The bell rings again. Donnelly fights back and takes the wheel of Ali Anderson from her. Riley McMullen starting to kick forwards around the outside. Ali Anderson, though, pushing herself from the front and stretching out some of these riders at the rear. Sophie Edwards trying to come around and get herself into a bit of security. Will it be enough? Sammy Donnelly is the next to go. And down the front straight they come. They're going to collect the bell again. Out of the seat goes Ali Anderson, trying to defend her position at the front. Sophie Edwards, again, still stuck at the back. Lucinda Stewart, also not in the most favourable of positions. Edwards currently with nowhere to go. She'll have to push up the inside. It looks like she's relenting, and she'll be the next rider out. So just 4 riders remaining. Riley McMullen starting to make her way forwards. 3 of our riders up high. Anderson starting to move up with them. As they come down the front straight, she's again out of the seat trying to go with the surge. Chloe Moran at the front now, keeping a look over her shoulder at Riley McMullen. Ali Anderson just boxed in there. She'll have to do some muscle work to get herself out. Lucinda Stewart goes around the outside, and it looks like Anderson will be the next to go. Three riders. Chloe Moran at the head of them. Riley McMullen on her right. Lucinda Stewart on the wheel of Moran. The bell rings again. Moran makes her way now down to the bottom of the track. McMullen starts to make her way forwards. And Lucinda Stewart on the inside. She's going to have to muscle her way out. She made the same mistake that Anderson did 2 laps ago, and she doesn't get anything out of it. Lucinda Stewart, the next rider to go. Riley McMullen at the front. Chloe Moran on her wheel. And we start to make our way around. Down the front straight we come. And the bell rings. McMullen leading down to the bottom of the track. Moran holding the wheel at the moment. Down the back straight we come. Moran now starting to kick, trying to make her way around, sitting at the hip of McMullen. McMullen still with a good lead, and here comes Moran around the outside, very close on the line. We'll wait to see what the commissaires say. And it's Chloe Moran who takes it out. Riley McMullen, the last rider to get eliminated. And we now go to the elimination for the elite men's Omnium. The whistle goes. And all of our riders roll off. Very aggressive, very quickly. We come down the front straight. The gun hasn't gone to start the race yet, but maybe they don't need it. Down the front straight we come. There it goes. And the race has begun. That looks like Angus Miller on the front, representing Australia in the South Australian Sports Institute kit. And the bell rings for the first time. Hunter Goff at the back there. James Moriarty also pretty far back, in a bit of danger. Taryn Cook might need to move himself up as well. Hunter Goff will be the first rider to go. Around and over the top goes Dan Bridgewater. Bridgewater now the leader. The bell rings and there's a push from Keegan Hornblow as he makes his way around. Down the front straight we come. A look over the shoulder from Connolly, who's currently in second wheel. James Moriarty might be the next out. He is. Tyler Tompkinson there in a bit of danger himself. Taryn Cook also. Cook and Tompkinson shouldering each other. Cook maybe not willing to let Tompkinson out. Tompkinson gets the air he needs and Cook decides to go up the inside. And it's Taryn Cook who's the next rider to go. A few riders stuck at the back there. Among them, Kyle Aitken. The bell rings again. Dylan Stanton also towards the back. Dalton Stretton, sorry. Kurt Ether at the front of the group. It was Tyler Tompkinson who was the one at the back who got caught out. Banging his handlebars in frustration. The bell rings again. Aitken at the rear. Hayden Smith also at the back there. That looks like Oliver Bledden going around the outside, trying to improve his position. The next rider to be eliminated will be Dalton Stretton. Another errance of frustration as he pulls out of the group. The bell rings again. Kyle Aitken stuck at the back as Kurt Ether, sorry, tries to make his way forwards around the outside. A close call there between Keegan Hornblow and Josh Duffy. It's Kyle Aitken who's the next to go. And there's a move forwards by Nick Kurgazoo by the looks of it. Oliver Bledden also moving around, trying to get over the top of Keegan Hornblow. Sexton, our current leader. Keegan Hornblow now making his way forwards. Connor Lay following. And Blake Agnoletto trying to move forwards up the side as well. Rowan Hayden-Smith is going to be the next rider out. Down the back straight, we've got a few riders stuck at the rear here. Josh Duffy among them. Kurt Ether also. The bell rings again. Down the back straight go the riders. Duffy starting to move forwards. Going around the outside. Kurt Ether trying to move forwards as well. And it looks like Oliver Watson-Palmer will be the next to go. Up the inside To regain his lead goes Sexton as he puts in another surge. Graham Frisley trying to take the wheel of George Jackson, and he gets it. John Carter at the back there. Liam Walsh trying to get himself out of the box that he's in. And he's got the air, but does he have the time? We'll wait to see what the comms say, because Josh Duffy was in a dangerous spot as well. It is Josh Duffy who's the next to go. Down the front straight we come. Liam Walsh at the back. Kurt Ether in a bit of a risky position with the other riders around the outside moving forwards. He doesn't have much room to move. It might be Connor Lay, our championship leader, the next rider to go. He is tied for first with Oliver Bledden, but won't be any more after this. The bell rings. Dylan Ether around the outside. Nick Kurgazoo raising a hand in protest. George Jackson now starting to move forwards. And the next rider to go will be Liam Walsh. George Jackson now the leader of the race. Around the bend and down the front straight he comes. The bell rings again. Dylan Ether stuck at the back. It looks like he's called it quits. And he might be the next rider to go. Down the front straight leads George Jackson. Dylan Ether, the next rider out. The other rider's getting a free pass of sorts there, as around the outside, as the bell rings, goes Edward Pawson. Down the back straight goes Pawson. The peloton starting to close the gap to him though, as he makes his way down the front straight. Pawson will be safe, at least for this round. The rider that won't be safe though is Dan Bridgewater. Down the front straight, Jackson leading again, and the bell rings again. Keegan Hornblow stuck at the back, as is Kurt Ether. Both riders with a lot to do if they want to get themselves out of the elimination. It looks like Ether will be the next to go. Down the back straight goes the peloton. Around the bend, a look over the shoulder from Hornblow. Sexton, sorry, the current leader of the race. As the bell rings, down the back straight. John Carter stuck at the back there with a lot of work to do to come forwards. Angus Miller was in a bit of a dangerous spot there. It is Angus Miller who's the next to go. And around the bend and down the front straight come the peloton now. They're small enough of a group to be single file. Keegan Hornblow at the back of it. Hornblow now starting to make his way forwards. John Carter trying to push him as high as he can, make him do as much work as possible, but in doing so he gets himself boxed in, so he's opting for the inside. It works for him this time. Keegan Hornblow the next rider out. Down the front straight we come. Tom Sexton, the leader at the moment. And we start to pick up a bit of speed as well. As we head down the front straight, it's going to be Nick Kurgazoo the next to go, I think. It's Oliver Bledden. But Kyrgyz's the one who's out, who thinks he's out. Oliver Bledden is the actual one who's supposed to go. Nick, you're still in. Down the front straight now, George Jackson starting to slip to the back. Josh Duffy comes around the outside. John Carter leading down the back straight and now around the bend. And the bell rings. Down the front straight we come. And it is going to be Ed Pawson the next to go. The bell rings. Frizzley making his way forwards, very close to every rider he's passing. John Carter starting to slip to the back. And it looks like Carter has given up as he crosses the line. He'll be the next to go. Down the back straight, we only have 4 riders left. The bell rings, George Jackson pushing hard on the front. Graham Frizzley trying to follow the move. Blake Agnoletto trying to do so as well. I haven't spoken very much about Blake Agnoletto. He's kept himself very well hidden this whole time. And it's Tom Sexton who's the next to out. Down the front straight they come. The bell rings again. Agnoletto up the inside, pushing Frizzley high, taking the wheel of George Jackson off him. Down the front straight they come. And the next rider to go will be Graham Frizzley. So just 2 riders left, George Jackson and Blake Agnoletto. Agnoletto trying to get himself out of the box. And Jackson starts to open up the sprint. Down the back straight he goes. The gap starts to open up and Agnoletto sits up. George Jackson wins himself the elimination. We'll wait to see what the official results are, but that might put George Jackson up a few places. Up next we have the under-19 women's Madison. The commissaires would like to announce a warning for deliberate and flagrant fault against another rider to Blake Agnoletto. Okay, we've got 6 teams in this under-19 women's Madison. Nicole Duncan and Kira Will for Australia. Georgia Simpson and Caitlin Kelly for New Zealand. Victoria 1, consisting of Belinda Bailey and Lilith Jones. Megan Baker and Molly Hayes for Canterbury. Victoria 2, Amy Masters and Alana Hribar. And Australia Composite, Eliza Carnes and Lucy Hall. The whistle goes. And Megan Baker is going to lead us around for the first neutral lap. And now we're underway. You can see there the partners starting to roll off the fence. It looks like our first change is going to be between Nicole Duncan and Kira Will. Duncan coming in to replace Will. Molly Hayes slinging with Megan Baker. Right, thanks. Down the front straight we come. Lilith Jones looking over her shoulder before she swings up the track. Amy Masters now takes the lead. We make our way down the front straight. It's Kira Will who leads. And in comes Nicole Duncan to change with her. Oh, and a mischange already so early in the race for Georgia Simpson and Caitlin Kelly. Simpson now with a good amount of work to do. She tries to make her way back onto the group. Eliza Carnes also chasing there at the back to regain contact. And Georgia Simpson has decided she's going to go over the top. Around the bend and down the front straight we go. 54 laps remaining. It's Simpson on the front. Belinda Bailey on her wheel. Kira Will now coming in to change with Nicole Duncan. The Australian riders changing always at the moment at a pretty good time. Amy Masters comes in for Alana Hribar. Again, Eliza Carnes and Lucy Hall late to the changing, as are Megan Baker and Molly Hayes. Both riders now with a lot of work to do. And Caitlin Kelly is going to try to capitalise on this. She's put in a bit of a surge. There's a lot of ground to make up in not much time before the sprint. Around the outside go goes one of the riders for Australia, Nicole Duncan and Kira Will, now about to change as they come in to get the bell. A very well-timed change for the riders in the green and gold as Kira Will starts to really pull away from her opponents. Very good effort there. Will make her way around the track and collect the points for first. The question is whether or not she will commit to a solo move with her teammate. Down the back straight she goes. She's still pushing on, pushing hard. Amy Masters in the Victorian colours. I was going to say leading the chase, but now it is Belinda Bailey as Bailey goes around the outside. Another change between Nicole Duncan and Kira Will. Duncan comes in. Bailey still pushing hard, fighting hard to close that gap. And with her change with her partner Lilith Jones, it might happen over the next lap. Good change there with Jones. Eliza Carnes on the back of Caitlin Kelly as the two Victorian riders come together in an attempt to chase down Nicole Duncan. Doing so successfully. Duncan looks over her shoulder and she's going to let the two Victorians join her. Caitlin Kelly somewhat in no man's land. Lucy Hall having to close the gap to her as they make their way around. Molly Hayes on her own at the back with a lot of work to do. 46 laps to go. And there's a change between Georgia Simpson, who comes in for Caitlin Kelly. Meanwhile, in our lead group, it's Belinda Bailey on the front. She now moves up. Short turn from Megan Baker behind. Leaves Nicole Duncan, Kira Will, on the front. Still coming from number 2, there's a good effort. Georgia Simpson looking like she's just about to bridge. Nicole Duncan now putting herself in a good position for Kira Will to change with her. Lilith Jones comes now and changes with Belinda Bailey as Caitlin Kelly almost makes her way onto these leaders. The gap was closing. It looks like it's starting to stagnate. Kelly with only about 20 metres left to make up, but next lap the bell is going to ring for another round of sprints. Eliza Carnes also with a lot of work to do. Around the bend and down the front straight we go. The bell rings again. Caitlin Kelly just off the back. She's going to change now with Georgia Simpson though. That'll be a well-timed change. The two Australians changing as well and doing so very well. They got a good number of metres out of that. Both Victorian teams changing. So Belinda Bailey and Megan Baker. Belinda Bailey and Amy Masters come in for their partners. New Zealand and New Zealand just about to make its way onto the leaders as Lilith Jones comes in behind Amy Masters. A change there by the Australians. Change now from both Victorian teams. Down the front straight we go. We have 37 laps remaining. Caitlin Kelly just off the back there. And we make our way around and down the front straight. A look over the shoulder from Lucy Hall. Alana Hribar, sorry. Down the front straight we go. A look over the shoulder from Lilith Jones as Kira Will comes in to change with Nicole Duncan. A change as well between Amy Masters and Alana Hribar. Masters coming in for Hribar. And leading this group is Georgia Simpson. Caitlin Kelly now coming in to change with Georgia Simpson. As we head down the back straight. Start to make our way around the outside. The Canterbury team getting caught. And there's a move from Belinda Bailey. Just as the changes start to happen, well-timed by Victoria, but also well-timed change by the Australians, Nicole Duncan, with the momentum she needs to close down onto Belinda Bailey, and she's going to try to go around the outside as well. Duncan over the top of Bailey and down the front straight. She'll take the points for first. Again, Australia going to 15 points. And now there's a bit of a gap to Victoria too. Alana Hribar having to push on her own. Kira Will coming in for Nicole Duncan. As we come down the front straight, Belinda Bailey pushing on well. She swings up. Will comes through on the inside. Amy Masters with a good bit of work to do. She's starting to hang her head as she comes down the front straight. We still have almost 30 laps to go in this race. Masters pushing hard as she makes her way around. And there's a change as Lilith Jones comes in for Belinda Bailey. Nicole Duncan now coming in for Kira Will. And as I say that, Alana Hribar makes her way onto the back of this leading pair. "25 laps to go. An important thing to note is that although we've got this dominant group of three, the points for fourth are still available to the other teams. 24 laps remaining in this race. And as this front group starts to lose a bit of its speed, the other teams try to make their way back on. Australia Composite among them, as Lucy Hall follows the wheel of Belinda Bailey around. Kira Will now changing with Nicole Duncan and replacing her as live rider. And a mischange for the New Zealand team. Georgia Simpson is going to have to stay in the race as Caitlin Kelly comes down at the wrong moment. Down the back straight go our leaders. Down the front straight they come as they get the bell. All six of our teams are together. Amy Masters at the front of them. Now Kira Will going around the outside. Masters starts to slip to the back. Over the top she goes. Belinda Bailey trying to follow the wheel. No change for Bailey or her teammate. Meanwhile, Amy Masters and Alana Hribar do change, as do Kira Will and Nicole Duncan. Duncan swings up, and through the inside goes Hribar. Hribar swings up, a short turn from Bailey behind. Nicole Duncan now leading for Australia as Eliza Carnes changes with Lucy Hall. 18 laps remaining. $17 to go. It's Hribar on the front. And Masters comes in to change with her. Nicole Duncan changes with Kira Will, and Kira Will replaces her as live rider. Down the front straight we go now. We have 16 laps remaining in this race. A look over the shoulder from Kira Will as she starts to move up the track. They now make their way down the back straight. Eliza Carnes changing there with Lucy Hall. Around and down the front straight we go. There's a move by Molly Hayes. Hayes and Hall being allowed to just attack the leaders there. And Megan Baker now with a pretty good gap to Lucy Hall. Kira Will trying to chase it down. Nicole Duncan is going to change with her to help that happen as Amy Masters changes with Alana Hribar. Down the front straight go our two solo leaders. Belinda Bailey closing the gap to Kira Will as Lucy Hall makes her way down the back straight. Eliza Carnes is going to change with Hall. Around the bend go our leaders, Molly Hayes changing with Megan Baker. And Hayes replacing her, still with about a quarter of a lap on the other riders, but she now has a lot of work to do. The bell rings. And the Australians change. Nicole Duncan changing out, Kira Will changing in, and she has a lot of speed, and Molly Hayes makes her way around down the front straight. She'll get the points for first. Will get the points for second. Followed by Jones for third and Carnes for fourth. Georgia Simpson there with a bit of a gap to the riders ahead. She hasn't been lapped yet by the leaders, but she has had to do a lot of work with her partner to try to prevent that from happening. Amy Masters also fighting pretty hard to keep ahead with the other two teams. Coming down the front straight, we have Belinda Bailey, who swings up and moves back down as Nicole Duncan makes her way onto the wheel of Bailey. These two riders starting to play around a bit. Megan Baker getting caught by the other riders. She put in a big effort for her breakaway and it hasn't paid off, and now she looks really quite exhausted, struggling to go with them. Down the front straight comes Nicole Duncan, Belinda Bailey with her. Georgia Simpson now moving up the inside, trying to get herself ahead. Lucy Hall swings up the track, is going to let Nicole Duncan come through and do a turn. A change between the two Australians. A change as well between the two Victoria 2 riders, Kira Will and Amy Masters, both coming back into the group. Big change between Georgia Simpson and Caitlin Kelly. You can really tell how exhausted they are. They have a pretty good gap at the moment. Caitlin Kelly almost half a lap up on the peloton, and only 3 laps left in this race. No action from the peloton as of yet. 3 to go is what Kelly gets as she changes with Simpson. Simpson now a straight behind the peloton, but Eliza Carnes puts in a move. That gap is going to start to open again. 2 to go for the peloton. Kira Will closing in and going around the outside as Nicole Duncan comes through to change with her. The bell rings for Caitlin Kelly. Georgia Simpson, sorry, as Simpson goes down the back straight. Simpson will get the points for first, but she won't be able to get the points for taking a lap as Nicole Duncan leads around and down the back straight. Belinda Bailey right on her wheel, trying to come forwards around the outside. And all the way to the line they go. Nicole Duncan and Kira Will taking out the under-19 women's Madison. We'll wait to see the official results. Victoria won, Belinda Bailey and Lilith Jones coming in second there. And New Zealand, Georgia Simpson and Caitlin Kelly moving themselves up into a bronze medal position with that last little attack, followed by Amy Masters and Alana Hribar, Megan Baker and Molly Hayes in 5th, and Eliza Carnes and Lucy Hall in 6th. Big round of applause for our Australian riders. Big round of applause for all of our riders, putting in a very good effort. New Zealanders especially in that last little stint, having to fight hard the entire race. And we now wait for the under-19 men's points race to get underway. The whistle goes, and our riders are off in neutral at the moment. And the gun goes to start them off. James Gardner on the front at the moment. Down the front straight now, over the top. A little move there from Magnus Jameson for New Zealand, stretching out the group, and a gap starting to open up already with some of the more important riders at the back side of it. But that looks like Lachlan Oliver, who was just shutting that down. Around the bend and down the front straight we go now. 97 laps remaining. Magnus Jameson swinging up, a short turn from both of the riders behind. Noah Blannon also moving up quickly. Oscar Gallagher now doing the same. Hayden van der Ploeg also swinging up. Down the front straight we go. A look across as Marshall Irwood makes his way to the back. Swinging up the track again is Jameson. Tom Kerr making his way to the rear now. James Gardner. Down the front straight we come, and it's Seb Collins flicking his elbow and moving up. Lachlan Oliver now making his way around. Luke Richard flicking his elbow and moving to the top. Now it's Noah Blannon who leads us down the back straight. Oscar Gallagher, Hayden van der Ploeg, Marshall Irwood, Bernard Pawson making his way up to the fence. Luke Richard then coming towards the lead, but staying up around the stays line, so he is waiting for someone else to come through, but seeing that no one is, he's going to stay on the front. We only have 92 laps to go, which means we're getting close to our first sprint. Noah Blannon seems to see it too and starts to move forwards. Hayden van der Ploeg also having a crack. He makes his way around the outside, and Noah Blannon at the head of the peloton is the one who's going to try to chase it down. The bell rings. Luke Richard holding the wheel of Blannon, and the rider trying to challenge him for it starts to slip down. Hayden van der Ploeg still with a good lead, but Noah Blannon now starting to close that down. Around the outside goes Noah Blannon. Can Hayden van der Ploeg hold on? It's close on the line. Blannon goes around the outside, keeps the pressure on, but does roll up. Going through up the inside is Oscar Gallagher, keeping it fast, making sure no one gets a break. And down the front straight we go. 89 laps remaining in this race. And we're going down the back straight now. We've got a gap, 3 riders to the back. Oscar Gallagher and Marshall Irwood among them, as well as Moe Morrison. Morrison swinging up. Irwood through up the inside. He's going to let the other riders come through. Jameson now with a good turn of speed. Kane Foster right now in the lead. Foster swings up, Jameson comes through, and the two of them looking to commit to a move. Irwood following Pawson down the front straight. Some of these riders at the back of the peloton really having to push to keep themselves in the mix as it starts to stretch. Seb Collins opening up a bit of a hole as he swings out. Down the front straight we go. We have 85 laps remaining, and Jameson has put in a pretty good gap to the peloton. Tom Kerr looking to close it. He swings up. Pawson swings up as well, out of the seat. And coming down the front straight goes Wilson Hannon. Noah Blannon now leading down the front straight. Marshall Irwood flicks his elbow. Oliver rolls through. Now Gardner, now Gallagher, now Richard. Now Van der Ploeg, now Collins. Collins slowly moving upwards. Pawson coming through to replace him. 82 laps to go, so we're getting close to our next sprint. And you can see the positioning start to change. Gardner moving forwards, bringing a lot of riders with him as he does so. Wilson Hannon on the front with a surge as the bell rings. Irwood following the wheel. Someone who's not following the wheel though is Lawson Frontsman as he slips to the back and he opens up quite a big hole for the other riders to have to close. Wilson Hannon holding the front at the moment, but here comes Irwood around the outside. Very close on the line again. This time between Irwood and Hannon. Jameson on the front now as we come down the front straight. 79 laps to go. Irwood swinging up, a look over the shoulder from Foster as Foster moves up. Now it's Seb Collins who leads after a relatively short turn from Kerr. Jameson, Irwood. Foster again. Now it's Kerr. 77 laps to go. Kerr swings up and Noah Blannon rolls through up the inside. Now it's Oliver. Gallagher. A look over the shoulder, keeping an eye on the riders behind by one of the New Zealanders. Hayden van der Ploeg comes through behind him, followed by Luke Richard, followed by Frontsman. Collins now leading down the back straight. Pawson up the inside. Gardner on the wheel of Pawson now replaces him as we enter the straight. He moves up and Foster follows the wheel, which means Kerr has to come through to take the lead. Flick of the elbow from Kerr leaves Blannon. Now it's Gallagher. Now it's Oliver. Down the front straight we go. Frontsman moves up. Irwood on the front. Gallagher starting to move forwards, maybe to take the wheel of Irwood, maybe to do something else. But it's Jameson on the inside who makes a move. He now starts to swing up. Foster behind him moves up as well. Gardner comes through on the front after Morrison swings up. Collins leading, Oliver leading. Up the inside comes Blannon with a good bit of speed. Again, 2 laps before the next sprint. Things are starting to get more tense. Gardner with a move up the outside. Morrison on the wheel. Foster trying to get himself in the mix as well. A very big acceleration from the Kiwi. The bell rings, 71 laps to go, and James Gardner has a lot of pace. Down the back straight now, Blannon coming forwards. Foster trying to keep himself in the mix, and he moves himself higher. Blannon with a lot of work to do. Gallagher with a lot of speed, but it's Gardner who will hold on and take the points for first. Down the back straight now, Gardner not looking to keep the pace high. Collins there just slipping off the back. Luke Richard rolls through. Marshall Irwood rolls through. 69 laps to go. Round we come. Collins rejoins the peloton. Kerr leads down the front straight. 68 laps remaining. Short turn from Morrison behind. Foster now moving up. Frontsman now moving up. Van der Ploeg, Gallagher, Richard, Gardner. 67 laps remaining. Gardner looks over his shoulder and moves up the track. Blannon now does the same. Collins, Irwood following, and now is on the front. Now it's Oliver. Small gap between Oliver and Kerr, but as Oliver swings up, it no longer matters. Kerr looking like he's putting in a bit of a surge, trying to keep the other riders under a good amount of pressure. Bit of readjustment of position. A few riders squabbling for the wheel of Noah Blannon at the back there. Jameson swings up, Foster comes through, Foster taking a look over his shoulder. We get 65 laps to go. Van der Ploeg moving up. Richard moving up now as well. It's Pawson who leads us around the bend. Flick of the elbow from Oliver. 64 laps remaining. Jameson making his way around. Blannon pulling out before it's his turn. Irwood moves out now. And we come down the front straight. Morrison making his way, looking like he wanted to take the wheel of Blannon, but he's going to let Irwood have it. Maybe looking to take the wheel of Irwood off Sebastian Collins. As we get 62 to go. Collins may be trying to move forwards up the inside to protect his position at the front. Instead, he starts to slip back. It doesn't look like he's able to go with the acceleration. James Gardner started when he tried to come forwards, and Noah Blannon matched. The bell rings. Blannon out of the seat to try to defend his position at the front. Gardner over the top. He's getting held high, though, as they come down the back straight. Gardner with another kick starts to move forwards. Blannon starts to slip back. Oscar Gallagher trying to keep himself over the top and making his way down the front straight. It looks like Gallagher will cross the line ahead of Gardner. All the riders sitting up there except for Morrison, who's keeping the pace high. Morrison now swinging up. His teammate swinging up. Jameson also interested in putting the other riders through the ringer. Irwood leading the ride behind Jameson as Jameson pushes on. Now swinging up, he's going to wait for the peloton to catch. He doesn't want to go on his own. Luke Richard takes a look over his shoulder and moves up the track. Foster, Van der Ploeg both follow. Now Morrison. And that might be Lucas Bimmy who was following Morrison. Jameson now making his way down the front straight. Kerr on his wheel, and both of them with a pretty good gap to the peloton. A few riders looking at Noah Blannon. Luke Richard coming through, putting in a little bit of a gap to the riders behind. Really, no one wanting to work, so much so that a small gap is starting to turn into a bit of a problem. Morrison now deciding to close the gap as Richard commits to a bit of a move here. Jameson leading down the back straight, and the gap to Richard closes. It's Kerr on the front, riding with Jameson at the moment as Oliver takes the lead. Noah Blannon stuck at the back there, as is James Gardner, both riders, and Marshall Irwood, three riders that are both very well scoring at the moment, stuck at the back, and all of their incohesion, as well as Oscar Gallagher's, leading to a bit of a problem. Luke Richard, meanwhile, has put in a bit of a move. Sebastian Collins chasing somewhat apathetically as we come down the front straight. 53 laps to go. A look from Hayden van der Ploeg. Short turn from Oliver. Bimmy now rolling up. Frontsman starting to wind it up as Richard comes down the front straight. 52 laps to go, and he's got about a quarter of a lap on the peloton. But here comes Jameson. Jameson has really shown himself to be a pretty strong rider, and he is now leading the peloton down the back straight. The bell is going to ring for Luke Richard. Richard with a good straight's worth of distance to the peloton, but the peloton with a great amount of speed as Jameson leads them down the back straight. Luke Richard makes his way around the bend. He looks over his shoulder. It looks like he's sat up. He'll be happy with the points for first, but he doesn't want to continue on further than that as we get halfway through the race. Oscar Gallagher and Marshall Irwood and Noah Blannon taking the rest of the points. Blannon keeping the pace high, and Kerr following the wheel of Blannon. Luke Richard trying to fill a hole there as he re-enters the peloton and starts to slip back. Kerr at the front moves up. Now it's Morrison. Jameson leading. Collins and Frontsman at the back there with a bit of work to do if they want to keep themselves in this race. Down the front straight they go. Gallagher on the front, Bimmy flicking his elbow. Richard up the inside. Blannon now leading. Moves up the track now. It's Kerr. 47 to go. Jameson swings up. Morrison on the front. Now it's Gardner. Now it's Van der Ploeg. Oliver. The race really losing a bit of its momentum. Frontsman has made his way back onto the peloton. 46 laps remaining, and Bimmy starts to move up. Gallagher comes through up the inside. Down the back straight we go, being led by Tom Kerr. Luke Richard now looks over his shoulder, flicks his elbow. Noah Blannon on the front, leading as we get 45 laps to go. Frontsman. Morrison, Oliver, Irwood. Foster now. Gardner leads us out of the bend and into the front straight. Van der Ploeg leads us down the front straight. 44 laps to go. Gallagher starts to swing up. Luke Richard takes the front. And it's Frontsman at the front of the race. Now it's Blannon as we start to get to the pointier end again. He swings off and Irwood takes the lead. He's pulling up as well. Everyone really slowing down. And I'll make a little comment in just a bit. And here comes Jameson around the outside. A very good move from him. Some people saw it coming, a few calls from the audience, but no one did anything about it. And he's got a very big gap on the peloton. Luke Richard at the head of that peloton, not doing much to chase it. Down the front straight comes Jameson, and he collects the bell. Down the front straight come the peloton. No move except for Foster. Foster now coming around the outside. Looks like Morrison's going to try to follow it. Van der Ploeg also trying to keep himself in the mix. Irwood as well as is Gallagher, but Jameson will very easily take the points for first. He's going to wait for the peloton to catch. Close on the line for second. Van der Ploeg will take the points for fourth. Noah Blannon and James Gardner, both riders at the back there. And there's a move down the front straight. And Tom Kerr is going with him. Matthew Davidson pulling away. Davidson and Kerr with a good gap. Blannon trying to go with them. 38 laps to go. And about a quarter of a lap on the peloton now. Davidson has a look at Kerr. Kerr comes through. Davidson sees, I think he didn't really want to commit, and then he saw just the extent of the gap that they had on the peloton, and he thought, oh, absolutely, I want a piece of this. Kerr swings up, takes the wheel of Davidson. Blannon still trying to make his way onto them as they get 36 laps to go. Luke Richard at the head of the peloton now moves up. James Gardner at the head of the peloton now moves up as well. Oliver comes through. Pawson comes through. Now it's Irwood. 35 to go. Blannon still stuck in no man's land, not really making much ground on them, but also holding off the peloton as Morrison leads them around. A look over the shoulder from Blannon. I think he sees he might not make it work. Kerr also starting to fall behind Davidson as he makes his way around. Matthew Davidson still not giving up hope. He's still got a very good gap on the peloton. He might try to get away on his own and just make the most of what he has. 33 laps to go. The peloton for a brief moment lost a bit of momentum, but Morrison trying to restore that there. Frontsman now rolls up. Gardner comes through. It's Pawson on the front. The gap to Davidson still pretty big, and Davidson still pushing on. Oliver comes through. Kerr now stuck on his own, waiting for the peloton to catch him, hoping that he made the right move, waiting for them. 32 laps remaining. It's Oliver on his own. Irwood at the head of the peloton. Davidson is going to come around and collect the bell. 31 laps to go, and Davidson is on his own by about half a lap. Kerr now trying to follow the wheel of Oliver. As Oliver comes through, a lot of pace coming from Morrison behind as they head down the back straight, down the front straight. Davidson will easily collect himself the points for first. Kerr around the outside, having been on his own for a while. He didn't want to just give up the points like that. Oscar Gallagher again with an incredible amount of pace coming from very far back, making me unsure of who got the points for second. Luke Richard now in the lead as Davidson waits for the peloton. Jameson making his way up. Van der Ploeg making his way up. Oliver, Irwood, Blannon coming through up the inside, and now he has a go. Down the front straight, small surge by Blannon. Maybe just trying to assess the level of interest. And he's got the interest from at least two other riders, Irwood going with him. And so Blannon at the front. Morrison came as well. Bimmy led a group of maybe about 6 or 7 onto all of them. Luke Richard following the wheel of James Gardner, as is Hayden van der Ploeg. Gardner wanting to keep himself in the mix. He's shown himself to be quite a strong rider. As they come down the front straight, they're going to get 27 laps to go. Noah Blannon at the front. Morrison coming through. Jameson now having another go. Jameson really a very aggressive rider this race, putting in a lot of attacks. And he swings up. He wants to see who's coming with him. Oliver says, I will. Down the front straight they go. 25 laps left in this race, and Oliver swings off the front. Jameson comes through. He's going to let Morrison through as well. Richard trying to close that gap down. Down the front straight we go. Morrison swings up. 24 laps remaining. Morrison at the front. Jameson making his way onto the wheel of Oliver, who takes the lead. Down the front straight we go, and there's a good move by Pawson around the outside. 23 laps remaining, and Bernard Pawson with a very good gap to the riders behind. Down the back straight we go. Irwood not interested in chasing. Luke Richard on the front of the peloton. It looks like it's going to be his job as we get 22 laps to go. Bernard Pawson rounds the Kiwi area where someone I think has gone into labour. Down the back straight now. Blannon around the outside. Foster trying to follow the wheel of Blannon as Bernard Pawson gets 21 laps to go. With this gap to the peloton, it looks like Pawson will hold on for the points for first. It's going to be a race for second. Noah Blannon racing it pretty well as Foster starts to slip back. Oscar Gallagher again with a lot of pace. Can't get to Blannon in time though, and Blannon will get 3 points to his name. Pawson waiting for the peloton there, and there's a move from Davidson again. Davidson having another crack. Jameson looked like he wanted to, maybe thought, oh, maybe I can't, maybe I won't. James Gardner, however, has committed with a bit more certainty out of the bend and down the back straight. Luke Richard with Jameson now maybe trying to bridge as well as they come down the front straight. Davidson waits for Gardner. Gardner with a lot of speed. Down the back straight now. Gardner actually gapping Davidson as Davidson makes his way around. The bridge attempt has not really worked out for Jameson and Richard, and Irwood comes around to lead the peloton. Down the back straight, and now around the bend goes James Gardner. 16 to go for him. Noah Blannon now starting to just slip out the back of the peloton, pushing to keep himself forwards. Hayden van der Ploeg at the front of the peloton, taking a look over his shoulder. And Foster leading the peloton. Franzman and Oliver quite a bit off the back of the peloton. And now about a straight separate the peloton from Gardner. Gardner starting to close in on the group as they get 15 to go, 14 to go for Gardner. And James Gardner, ladies and gentlemen, will get himself a lap to his name as he heads down the back straight. Gallagher swings up. Irwood making his way down the front straight. Davidson now the head of the race as Richard rolls through for the peloton. Short turn by Blannon. Van der Ploeg looks up and moves up. 13 to go. Morrison now leading for the peloton. Flicking his elbow. Franzman comes through. Foster swinging up now. Irwood moving up. Gallagher coming through up the inside. About a quarter of a lap separating Davidson from the peloton. The peloton's incohesion playing into Davidson's favour. 12 laps to go. And it looks like Jameson wants to keep the pace high. The bell rings for Davidson. Irwood out of the seat on the back straight for the peloton, trying to put in a bit of an effort. Gallagher following the wheel, as is Foster. Luke Richard letting a gap open up. The riders behind are really going to have to put in an effort if they don't do something about it soon. Down the back straight, Foster with a bit of a gap. Jameson will take the points for first, and this time he continues on. Foster taking the points for second, Blannon the points for third, Richard the points for fourth. Van der Ploeg just not getting there in time. Morrison coming forwards now to make his way onto the wheel of Noah Blannon. Blannon swings up, Morrison comes through. Blannon now taking a look to see what the peloton are going to do, and he, through gritted teeth, decides he has to chase Morrison. He realizes he can't, and he's going to wait for the peloton. Morrison on his own now. Davidson also on his own, and pretty much half a lap up on the peloton. Down the back straight goes Davidson. Down the back straight goes Morrison as well. James Gardner having a good crack. Ladies and gentlemen, these New Zealanders are absolutely obliterating this race. Down the front straight, Gardner again, Irwood with a move, Van der Ploeg trying to follow, Noah Blannon trying to follow as well. A lot of the riders in this race being put through an immense amount of torture. Down the front straight comes Davidson, still on his own, 6 laps to go, hanging his head in fatigue. James Gardner trying to bridge to him. Morrison tried to bridge, but he couldn't do it. He's waiting for the peloton now. Gardner through up the inside. Davidson following Gardner as Gardner makes his way around. We've now got 2 riders at the head of this race working together, and a peloton that doesn't want to work together. 5 laps to go. James Gardner already managed to take a lap for himself. And now a tired and incohesive peloton might give him another. Foster trying to prevent that with a little move. Jameson trying to follow as well. Down the front straight we go. 4 laps remaining. And the peloton starts to slow down. Jameson starts to make his way forwards. Just 3 laps remaining in this race. Down the back straight now. Noah Blannon at the head of the peloton. 3 to go. Blannon swings up. Van der Ploeg swings up. Oliver swings up. 3 to go. 2 to go for our leaders, I think. Down the front straight come the peloton. Oliver with a bit of a surge. Luke Richard currently positioned 6th. If he holds off the peloton for the next 1 lap, he will stay there. The bell rings for our 2 leaders. Davidson pulls away from Gallagher. And Davidson will make his way around the track and take the points for first. Another 10 points to his name. James Gallagher will win himself the points race though. Luke Richard mere meters away from going from 6th to last. A shake of hands between Davidson and Gardner. Big smile in celebration. Noah Blannon there. Looked like he might have got the points for 3rd. We'll see what the official result is in the end. Yeah. Up next, we have presentations for the for the Under-19 Women's TT and the Under-19 Women's Madison, the Under-19 Men's Points Race. So if you were in those races, if you could please make your way through to the podium area, that would be very good. Thank you. I just got a bunch of the same text message today. Where they want you. Yeah, look, another one. No, no, it's my normal thing. I was watching Nick down there and he didn't get one single time. He didn't even move his head. He just didn't get it. That was good for Luke. No, it was good. You got his time with me. Yeah, he just got third. Yes. He would have been lots. He would come 14th. He got caught by the head. Oh, God, that was lucky for North. Just across the line. Look, I'm getting another one. Sorry? Are you getting another one? They don't have Wi-Fi here? They do, I'm not using it. Oh. So you go from Serbia, but what state did she move from? No, she's born in Australia. She's born in Sydney. Oh. That's not too bad, but it's like a 3-hour train ride. Yeah. Maybe closer to 4 because we have to stop everywhere. But the bus is maybe 3.5 hours. But the train's a lot cheaper. You can walk around and stuff and go to the restaurant park. And then it shows you the safety go. Stories from last year, isn't it? Not really. So, Just to reiterate, if you could please make your way to the podium area if you won a medal in the under-19 women TT or Madison or the under-19 men's points race.
I remember that too. A while ago.
That's when he peaked. He's only fallen off since then.
It's my son that he made out of gold. So.
Oh, who was your son?
Dalton.
Dalton. Oh, you're Dalton's mom.
Yeah.
Ah.
So I remember it very clearly.
I remember just sitting on his wheel and thinking, oh yes,
I've got a game right on.
That's all I practiced and training for like 2 months before. I was just being on the dirt and just practicing sprinting around it.
Someone take someone's wheel. Yeah.
For like States, the several years before that, his tactic was always just sit on Zach's wheel.
Zach Patterson's wheel.
And he would Zach would be like, oh, there's a bloody handboy this kid. Like, he won't leave me alone.
Well, the kid that won the under-19 national sprint national scratch race this year, Sam McKee.
Yeah.
World's best mixer.
Yeah.
Well,
Why do any work himself?
same thing
Sit a wheel.
Same thing that happened to Dalton happened to me when I did Oceanias in Chicago. I was coming third in the last points race, and Gus Miller from South Australia just hit me on the last. Yeah. But I beat Zach Patterson. Didn't even need his wheel for that thing.
And when you can beat Zach Patterson in New Zealand,
Yeah.
you're going to
Kiwis were huge.
I know. Yeah.
It's good Dalton's still riding at least.
Still costing me money.
Okay, looks like we're ready to go for the under-19 women's time trial presentations. In third place and winner of the bronze medal representing New Zealand, Megan Baker. In second place and winner of the silver medal representing New Zealand, Jodie Blackwood. And in first place, winner of the gold medal and the Oceanic champion representing Australia, Lilia Tatarinov. Moving on to the presentations for the under-19 women's Madison. In third place and winner of the bronze medal, we have Georgia Simpson and Caitlin Kelly representing New Zealand. In second place and winners of the silver medal, representing Australia, Belinda Bailey and Lilith Jones. And in first place, winners of the gold medal and the Oceanic champions, representing Australia, Nicole Duncan and Kira Will. now to the under-19 men points race presentations. In third place and winner of the bronze medal, representing Australia, Noah Blannon. In second place and winner of the silver medal, Matthew Davidson, representing New Zealand. And in first place, winner of the gold medal and your Oceanic champion, representing James Gardner, New Zealand, representing New Zealand, James Gardner. He's massive, he's so big. Finally comes with New Zealand agriculture. They grew him. I'm too tired, man.
You need a net. It's a new caffeine.
Maybe if I'm planning on going forward.
Just probably. Maybe Russia. Serbia. France. Maybe Belgium. I'm just doing the song. Maybe like allies that we could, and have them bomb America and bring them into
He definitely knows he's being strong. No way he doesn't.
2020 through their time.
Up next, we go to the elite women's keirin 7 to 12 final.
Canberra has made you more refined.
Yes.
You don't. You talk less. I guess you're working, but you talk more sophisticated.
I just look less, but I do have a sort of voice. I'm trying to protect it.
I'm not complaining. I love the sound of my voice. I'm just waiting for all those funny stories to accumulate every year. Holding back.
Yeah.
They used to share them with the crowd.
I don't really have that many funny
I reckon that
stories.
I find that hard to believe. Someone else has funny stories. So nothing
Look
funny.
at Duncan's bike.
Funky Dunky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time I've seen someone ride around on that bike, I couldn't work out who it was to save my life. I've only just seen his face and realised it's Duncan on that bike.
Moustache.
The mo.
Last time I was funny to see. See how much is double the flight.
How much is double? Like how much is he double the size?
Double 5. Too much is 5.
6 laps is what these riders have for their Kieran. Alessia McCaig at the head of this group. Indiana Lysart on her wheel. As we come down the front straight, 5 laps to go. Kalinda Robinson on the wheel of Lysart, followed by Emma Stevens, Molly McGill, and then at the back, Sophie Watts. Four laps remaining. Around the bend we come and down the front straight. We're going to get 3 laps to go and the motorbike swings down. Alessia McCaig looking over her shoulder, keeping an eye on the riders behind. Lysart staying close to McCaig's wheel. As we make our way down the front straight, we have 2 laps to go. And we're starting to see a move by Kalinda Robinson over the top of McCaig. Emma Stevens countering that move as we come down the front straight. The bell rings. Stevens continuing to move forward, but as we enter the bank, she starts to slip back. Robinson fighting back. We're 4 abreast down the back straight. Someone's got to give. Down the front straight we come, and right from the start, very close on the line by our starter McCaig and by Robinson, who led from a good lap or 2 in advance. We'll wait to see what the official result is. Very close on the line between those 2 riders. Up next we have Emma Stevens, Molly McGill, Kalinda Robinson, Brianna Hargrave taking the track next with Selena Ho, Christina Clonan, Elise Andrews, Olivia King and Rebecca Petch for our 1 to 6 final. I reckon I should have done men's 7 to 12 and then women's 1 to 6. Yeah. Stop this.
We're going to start for 5 minutes. I'm getting glued myself to the building. Purchased the electromotive.
The motorbike starts to make its way around. Olivia King is going to be the one leading us onto that bike. Good representation of both Australians and New Zealanders here. Around the bend and down the front straight. We have 5 laps to go, 2 more behind the Derny. We've done 1 behind the Derny, so everyone is allowed to move around. And we start to make our way down the front straight again. One more lap behind the dirty now. Olivia King in front, keeping an eye on the riders behind. Clonan in second wheel, followed by Hargrave. 3 to go, and the Derny swings down. Andrews on the wheel of Hargrave, followed by Ho, followed by Petch. Down the back straight we go. Few gaps still existing. And it looks like our first move is going to come from Andrews as we head down the front straight. Clonan quick to keep herself in a bit of air, pushing Andrews high and keeping herself towards the front. She's going to follow the wheel of Andrews as Andrews makes her way over the top and around. Down the front straight, the bell rings. 1 lap to go. It's Andrews still leading, followed by Clonan. Down the back straight, Ho trying to put herself up towards the front. She's starting to slip back though as we round the bend and come down the front straight. Andrews still fighting off Clonan, but Clonan will cross the line ahead and get herself a gold medal. We now go to the elite men, Kieran, 7 to 12 final. Ryan Elliott, Jade Madden, Danny Barber, Duncan Allen, Tom Cornish, and Lee Hoffman all taking the track. No, you're right, someone's gone home.
Yeah. Beast. I like that easy. Beast.
Oh, I didn't think so either. All of our riders behind the Derny now. Down the front straight we go, and behind the bike it's Lee Hoffman, followed by Ryan Elliott, Tom Cornish, Duncan Allen, and Jade Madden at the back. One more lap behind the bike. And we start to pick up a bit of speed as we head down the back straight. We make our way around and down the front. 3 laps to go and the bike swings down. And Madden starts to make his way forwards, trying to improve his position. Elliott doing the same, comes over the top of Hoffman, and Hoffman starts to push out against Madden, trying to stop himself from getting boxed in. 2 laps to go, and over the top goes Madden with a lot of speed. Ryan Elliott trying to shut that down. Tom Cornish moving forwards. Duncan Allen up the inside. Very close call between himself and Madden. And the bell rings. 1 lap to go. Hoffman still away, but now come Elliott and Cornish with a lot of speed. Also very close together. Down the front straight we go. Very close on the line between the three of them. I think it was Cornish, Elliott, Hoffman. We'll wait to see the official result. A good effort from all three of those riders. I don't know. He was I didn't see how early he got in there. If he was already there, then it might be Madden's fault, but yeah, we'll wait for the commentators to see what they have to say. They've obviously discussed it pretty amicably. They're not at each other's throats or anything. No idea. Coming up next, we have the Elite Men Kieran 1 to 6 finals. Sam Gallagher, James Brister, Matthew Glaitzer, Matthew Richardson, Sam Dakin and Callum Saunders. No. And around comes the bike. The gun goes off. And leading us onto the wheel of the bike is going to be James Brister. Following him we have Matthew Richardson. Then Sam Dakin. After Sam Dakin, Sam Gallagher, Matthew Glaitzer, and rounding out the back, Callum Saunders. Brister currently at the head of the bike. We've finished the first lap, so the riders are free to move around, but they haven't yet. And none of them really show any intention to do so. We come down the front straight and get 4 laps to go. Start to see a move from Saunders at the back. And the Derny swings down, 3 laps to go. Saunders immediately over the top. Brister trying to follow that wheel. Glaitzer stuck at the back. And that is Sam Dakin getting boxed in there by Sam Gallagher as we come down the front straight. 2 laps to go, move by Glaitzer. Brister trying to keep himself in the mix. Glaitzer goes over the top. And Glaitzer now pulling Richardson away. Brister following. And Saunders slipping to the back. as the bell rings. It's still Glaitzer at the front, but here comes Richardson down the front straight with a lot of speed. Brister following the wheel of Richardson very well. Down the front straight we go, and it's going to be Richardson, Brister, Glaitzer. And we're now going to go to presentations for both of those races. So if you got a medal in the men's and women's Kieran's, please make your way to the podium area soon as possible, preferably. Yeah, that's the problem. If we can please get all medal winners in the men's and women's elite Kieran's to make their way to the podium area, we'd be very appreciative. So the commissaires would like to announce a relegation to last place to Duncan Allen for dangerous riding during the race. Big shout out to Elise and Selena, who actually went to the podium area. No one cares. We can see them. We can look at them. They're there.
Presentation starting 10 seconds and not there, you don't get your medal first thing. There's the next place.
The other thing is you get fined if you don't go to Prezos. So we should just, yeah. So we should just do it within 2 minutes and fine everyone who doesn't go. Just to repeat for the audience, we decided that the best way to go about it in future, we were too scared to announce it over the actual loudspeaker, is to just go for presentations maybe 5 minutes after the race, and anyone who doesn't get there immediately gets fined, whatever the fine is. Okay, looks like we have everyone to get underway with the elite women's Kieran presentations.
Just remind them over the speaker that there is a fine that needs to be given.
No, because they're there. They're so close. They're just riding their bikes.
Or is it just cycling race?
Okay, in third place and winner of the bronze medal, representing Australia, Selena Ho. In second place and winner of the silver medal, representing New Zealand, Elise Andrews. And in first place, winner of the gold medal and your Oceanic champion, representing Australia, Christina Clonan. Look at this footage.
I'm thinking, is that still taken on the back of the journey? Where's Selena?
Moving on now to the elite men Kieran presentations. Man.
Stop breathing into the microphone.
You wouldn't know they're the fastest men in the country. In third place and winner of the bronze medal, representing Australia, Matthew Gleitzer. In second place and winner of the silver medal, representing Australia, James Brister. And in first place, winner of the gold medal and your Oceanic champion, representing Australia, Matthew Richardson. All right, after this, we'll go straight into the Omnium points races for the elite men and women. Yeah, yeah.
The enemies. So the committed interest is the one which castle is not protected against. You cannot revoke your implied license to that. I'm merely on your foot guard. Not anyone's property up until a lock point, so the gates off you can go through and just chill there till they tell you to leave.
That's funny.
There's a big thing called case against the current affair. Surprise, surprise. One of their reporters, when they went to knock on his door, was put his foot in the door so they couldn't actually lock it, and he just opened it up. They're like, no, you can't do it. They tried to lock it.
I mean, good on the journalists. Miss all the shots you don't take. 50-50 chance they would have given it to him.
But there's also things that even if it's your own property, you cannot make traps on purpose to kill or injure trespassers before a point of lock in front of it.
Oh, before a point.
Yeah. It's just like your yard, and there's there's Vietnamese spike pits. They're not allowed unless there's a gate around it and you lock. As soon as they jump that gate, free game. You've spiked. But you can't have like booby traps on your door stuff. Like it's automatic like shotgun pulls. In Australia. America, a little different. Quite a bit more relaxed. Sure. Defame my thoughts enemy without causing financial loss.
The whistle goes to kick off our elite women's Omnium points race. We still only seem to have the standings after the tempo available. So I'm not sure what that means for the overall Omnium standings. We don't have the scoreboard up on the screen either, so I guess we'll just treat it like a regular points race until that changes. Flick of the elbow from Moran. She moves up to the top of the track. Shearman does the same. Ali Anderson now moves up. Riley McMullen doing the same. Down the front straight we come, and it's Sophie Ma taking a look over her shoulder and letting Nicola McDonald through. Down the front straight we come. Prudence Fowler looking over her shoulder before she moves up and lets Hayley Fuller through. Hayley Fuller now swings up. Amelia Sykes. Belle Judd. Sammy Donnelly now on the front. Now it's Chloe Moran again. Alex Martin Wallace looks over her shoulder and starts to move up. Flick of the elbow from Lucinda Stewart. Short turn by Emily Shearman. Ella Sibley moving up. Now it's Sophie Edwards who leads around. Ali Anderson again. And she starts to tuck in, makes her way down the front straight, 76 laps remaining. Takes a look over her shoulder and swings up the track. Riley McMullen moving up as well. Look over the shoulder before Sophie Ma moves up. Nicola McDonald keeping the pace high as well. Okay, the points after the elimination now up. Chloe Moran on 114 points ahead of Sammy Donnelly, 10 points down. So it can still be anyone's race. No one with too big of a lead. And around the track we come now. A look over the shoulder as before she swings up. That's Sophie Sutton making her way down the front straight. I say before she swings up, she's just making sure she's got an eye on the riders behind, because we're getting closer to the next sprint. The bell's going to ring as they come around. And there it goes. It's Hodges on the front. McDonald at her hip. Over the top comes Ma. Ma making her way down the back straight. And she's got a good gap between herself and the riders behind. Shearman trying to close it now as we come down the front straight. It's between Shearman and Ma, and Shearman will take it out. Moran maybe getting herself in the points there as well. Riley McMullen and Hodges also, Jessie Hodges also looking to maybe get a point there. Look over the shoulder from Moran as she swings up. Ali Anderson moves up the track. Hayley Fuller now leads. Now it's Lucinda Stewart. Alex Martin Wallace with a good gap to the riders behind. Martin Wallace now making her way down the front straight as we get 68 laps to go. Flick of the elbow from Anderson. Down the back straight we have Shearman leading the bridge. Now Donnelly. Now McMullen. Sykes making her way up as Alex Martin Wallace decides to wait for the other riders to catch her. She's going to rejoin the peloton with everyone else. Hayley Fuller leading through to get 66 to go. Prudence Fowler. And now it's Jessie Hodges who leads. Ella Sibley flicking her elbow, moving up the track. Belle Judd, Sophie Sutton. Amelia Sykes pulling a short turn there. Short turn as well from Lucinda Stewart. Down the front straight we come. Sammy Donnelly moving up the track now. It's Sophie Ma in front. Down the back straight we go now. Shearman leading. Chloe Moran with a look over her shoulder. Now coming down the front straight, Ella Sibley swings up. Belle Judd pulls a short turn as well, and Sophie Sutton comes through up the inside. 63 to go, so we're getting closer to our second sprint of this Omnium points race. And you can see the bunch fatten up. A few riders looking to change position, get themselves further forward. Riley McMullen among them. Moving up the inside there as well is Sophie Ma. Lucinda Stewart coming over the top of her. Around they come now. Amelia Sykes with a good turn of speed as the bell rings. Into the bend she goes. And down the back straight. Now it's Jessie Hodges trying to close that gap to her. Amelia Sykes with a very good lead still, and it looks like she'll get herself the points for first, followed by Jessie Hodges, Riley McMullen, and then the points for fourth going to Lucinda Stewart. Around the bend we go now. And down the front straight, 59 laps to go. And now we have a move by Hayley Fuller. Fuller making her way onto the wheel of Anderson as Fowler comes over the top of the both of them, and Prudence Fowler now leads. She swings up. She's going to let Anderson through. Anderson swings up now, and it looks like the peloton itself is going to bridge. We make our way down the front straight. Shearman putting in a bit of a gap to the riders behind. 57 laps remaining. Sophie Edwards looking to go with Shearman. We make our way around the bend and down the front straight. 56 laps remaining. Shearman swings up. Edwards doesn't want to work with her. Moran is going to be the one to bridge to them. Pulling a few riders with her. Sammy Donnelly, Riley McMullen, Sophie Ma and Lucinda Stewart. Ali Anderson starting to slip towards the back. Prudence Fowler and Amelia Sykes, first and second from the previous sprint, now right at the back. Hayley Fuller at the front at the moment, 54 to go, so we're starting to get even closer towards the end of this round of 10. Down the back straight they go now. Ma moving forwards. Ma now swings up, Stewart follows her, and up the inside goes Sutton. Sutton now moving up higher. 53 laps remaining. Fowler with a bit of speed there, but not much to do with it. She has to just slow herself down, and she's going to take the wheel of Fuller. Fuller checking over her shoulder. 52 laps to go, so she's not going to want to swing up and move anywhere else. Shearman coming over the top of her, so Fuller out of the seat now to try to protect her position. And Shearman now takes the lead. Chloe Moran at her hip, trying to box in Hayley Fuller. As the bell rings, Riley McMullen makes her way over the top, and McMullen carrying a good bit of speed. Chloe Moran trying to follow. McMullen now over the top of Shearman. Shearman starts to slip back. Moran starts to move forwards down the front straight. Chloe Moran with a good turn of pace. And it looks like Moran will take the points for first. It also looks like she's trying to just keep the pressure on, keeping the pace high. And we have a split of about 5 riders now off the front. McMullen not looking to keep that split alive, nor are Shearman or Edwards, and so the peloton manages to bridge. Emily Shearman now leading us into the bank. Sophie Edwards now. Now it's Lucinda Stewart. And there's a move up the inside from Sammy Donnelly. Donnelly with a bit of a gap to Nicola McDonald behind her. McDonald just turning those legs over, trying to close the gap to her opponent. Down the front straight, look over the shoulder from McDonald. She's going to let Chloe Moran come through. Moran does come through, but quite a bit up higher than anyone else would have liked. And she also brings a few riders with her who also don't want to pull a turn. Down the back straight we go, and over the top of everyone goes Jessie Hodges. Down the front straight now, Hodges checking a look over her shoulder, moves up. Emily Shearman comes through. No one looking to chase. Hayley Fuller, though, keeping the pace high and keeping the other riders under pressure. Ali Anderson now doing the same, and Alex Martin-Wallace is going to try to shut it down. Ella Sibley is not, and lets Martin-Wallace now get a little bit of a gap. Riley McMullen swings up after putting in a bit of an effort to bridge. Now it's Nicola McDonald who's at the front of the race. Riley McMullen checking over her shoulder. Sophie Ma now swinging up. Belle Judd, Lucinda Stewart, Ali Anderson, Chloe Moran, Sammy Donnelly following the wheel of Moran as Emily Shearman rolls through. Now it's Amelia Sykes making her way around and down the front straight. 43 laps to go. Hayley Fuller checking over her shoulder before she rolls up. Sophie Sutton now rolling around. Down the back straight, Fuller on the inside of Martin Wallace. Martin Wallace retaking the lead. 42 laps to go, so not really anywhere Martin Wallace should move. Ma over the top of Martin Wallace. And Stewart over the top as well. Stewart following the wheel of Mars. We come down the front straight. The bell rings. 41 laps to go. And Emily Shearman starts to make her way forwards down the back straight. Shearman moving forwards over the top of Stewart. Not over the top of Ma, though. It looks like Ma will hold on and get herself another few points to her name. Down the back straight now. Chloe Moran looking around, high up on the track. Alex Martin Wallace leading down the front straight. There are a good few riders who would greatly benefit from taking a lap, though no rider making a genuine effort as of yet. "38 laps remaining in this race." Stewart swings up. Down the back straight we go. Shearman leads. Now it's Moran. Now it looks like coming down the front straight there is Prudence Fowler. Hayley Fuller as well. Sophie Ma swinging up. Sophie Sutton rolling through. And around the bend and down the front straight, we're going to be led by Nicola McDonald, as McDonald starts to put her head down and put in a bit of a push. She moves up the track. Jessie Hodges moving up as well. And Sammy Donnelly follows through after a short turn by Ali Anderson. Chloe Moran following the wheel of Donnelly. And a bunch of other riders doing the same. Leaves Hayley Fuller to come through on her own. Prudence Fowler now with a bit of speed, but also as she gains height, starting to slow down and look for a different wheel. Down the back straight, Ma looking to close down the gap between the peloton and Fuller. 34 laps to go. Fuller still with a small gap. No one looking to do the last little bit of work to close it. Stewart moves up. Anderson moves up. McDonald moves up as well. Shearman is going to be the one to close it by the looks of things. She does swing up at the last moment though. Chloe Moran still following that wheel. And over the top now comes Amelia Sykes. Sykes away, Fowler following her wheel. Down the back straight we go. Prudence Fowler now through the inside. Bit of a gap between Fowler and Sykes behind her, and down the front straight she goes. 32 laps remaining. And down the back straight. Down the front straight we come now, and the bell rings. 31 laps to go, and there's about a quarter of a lap between our two leaders and the peloton behind. They just continue rolling turns. The peloton with a considerable amount of speed though. Prudence Fowler isn't going to, now she is going to come forward and take the points for first away from Amelia Sykes. Chloe Moran swinging up. Emily Shearman doing the same. And Prudence Fowler with a good gap to the peloton. The peloton also not really keen on working together. And she decides, oh, maybe I will commit to this. Look over the shoulder from McDonald as McDonald swings up. Chloe Moran actually looking at the points race scoreboard, she's extended her lead over Shearman by 1 point since this race began. Sammy Donnelly has stayed in third as well. Lucinda Stewart on 100 points in fourth, just 1 point ahead of fifth place, who is Riley McMullen. 1 point behind McMullen is Sophie Edwards. Down the back straight we go now. Look over the shoulder for Sophie Edwards as she swings up. Prudence Fowler with a good half lap almost on the peloton. 26 laps remaining. Hayley Fuller now at the head of the race. At the head of the peloton, sorry. Prudence Fowler doing well, and the lack of cooperation from the peloton means that she's continuing to open up a gap. It also means that Jessie Hodges is going to try to bridge on her own. Unhappy with the work that the peloton is currently doing. Down the back straight goes Hodges, and she has put in a very big gap very quickly. 24 laps remaining for Fowler. Now 24 laps remaining for Hodges as well. Around the bend and down the front straight come the peloton. Just over half a lap down on our current position on the track leader. 23 laps remaining, so we're getting close to our next sprint. Jessie Hodges putting in a good amount of effort to close that gap to Fowler. Fowler, I'm not sure if she's waiting or if she's just starting to get a bit fatigued. But Hodges is quickly closing the gap to her clubmate as well. 22 laps to go. Riley McMullen coming down the front straight after putting in a bit of a surge. 22 laps to go for the peloton. As Prudence Fowler makes her way down the front straight, she's going to collect the bell. 21 laps to go, and this is going to be the lap as well where Fowler gets caught by her clubmate Hodges. Hodges going around the outside. Not much protest that Fowler puts up, but it looks like she's working hard enough for them to both be able to work together after this. Chloe Moran taking the points for third, and Emily Shearman the point for fourth. Down the back straight go the peloton. Down the front straight come our breakaway, as Hodges starts to sit into her bars. 19 to go, both riders in the break sit up. And they move back down. I'm not sure if they're committing fully to their break. 18 laps to go. 18 to go now for the peloton as well. The gap down to about a quarter of a lap. Chloe Moran extending her lead over the rest still. 17 to go. And it's Nicola McDonald who's putting in a move. Down the front straight she goes. She's taking two other riders with her. Those are Belle Judd and Hayley Fuller. Fuller now at the head of this little chase. Alex Martin-Wallace at the head of the peloton, trying to close this chase down, or at least keep herself in the mix with it. 16 laps remaining, a flick of the elbow from Nicola McDonald. And down the back straight now go our leaders. Down the back straight go the peloton as well. The breakaway almost well and truly over. I think if they get lucky enough and they keep working together, they could have maybe held out for another round of points. But they've sat up now, and the peloton will catch. Around the bend we go, and down the front straight. A look over the shoulder for Ali Anderson before she makes her way up. 14 laps remaining. Ella Sibley moving up now. Alex Martin-Wallace going down the back straight. Sophie Edwards moving up the track now as well. Belle Judd doing the same. Sammy Donnelly moving up and pulling a few riders with her, leaving Hayley Fuller further back. Now the front rider. Again, no one really looking to do much work. And as we get closer to the sprint, any attack will probably just be covered by everyone else. 12 to go. Look over the shoulder from Sophie Ma to see who's above her, and decides to put in a bit of a surge over those who are below her. Down the back straight, it's Ma now at the head of the peloton, but that is about to change quickly as Sammy Donnelly comes over the top. The bell rings, 11 to go. Donnelly leading, Shearman on her wheel, followed by Moran. McMullen trying to put herself further forwards. A raise of the hand in protest to something by Stewart. Down the front straight we come. Moran looking into the eyes of Emily Shearman before she takes the points for first. Down the back straight now. We're entering our last 10 laps. Fuller coming around and leading us through to get 9 to go. Ali Anderson threw up the inside. And Amelia Sykes is going to be the one to close that down before Anderson gets any ideas, and is actually going to counter over the top. Sykes with a lot to gain from this race. She's still placed last and has been since the start. However, she has significantly narrowed the gap between herself and the riders in front of her, points-wise. A look over the shoulder from Sykes as she makes her way down the front straight. Martin Wallace now at the lead of this little breakaway that has quickly turned into an almost entire straight's worth of a gap. Sykes now at the front of it. Sykes swings up, Anderson rolls through. All of these riders in the break very tired, and the riders in the peloton very ambitious. The gap starting to close, 6 laps to go. Alex Martin Wallace pulling a short turn there, and Belle Judd coming through doing the same. Little bit of a surge from Amelia Sykes opens up a gap between herself and Ali Anderson behind. And with an effort from Prudence Fowler and now from Riley McMullen, that breakaway is no more. Sophie Ma moving up the inside there. Emily Shearman starting to go down to the sprinters lane. Sophie Edwards looking to do a flyer and carrying a lot of speed from it. Emily Shearman saw it coming and started to react preemptively. 4 to go. Sophie Ma now having to do the work to shut it down. Down the back straight, look over the shoulder for Sophie Ma. She sees everyone on her wheel. About a quarter, not even a quarter of a lap is the gap, but the gap is pretty long. Maybe about 40 or 50 meters in the favor of Sophie Edwards. Sophie Edwards also with a lot to gain, the podium potential rider in 10th, but can move up to 7th if she gets the points for first here. Only 2 laps to go, and the peloton is not doing anything about Sophie Edwards. Jessie Hodges is going to try to change that as she makes her way over the top of everyone. Emily Shearman following, Ella Sibley trying to follow. The bell rings for Sophie Edwards. Edwards looking pretty strong and fighting hard. Jessie Hodges fighting hard as well as she makes her way around. Ella Sibley moving forwards now over the top of both Shearman and Hodges. Riley McMullen moving forwards as well. The points for first will go to Edwards, but the win will go to Chloe Moran. Big round of applause for Chloe Moran. Controlled the race from the very beginning. A very well-deserved Oceanic champion.
Right up. He's very tall, isn't he? Up next, the elite men's points race. That was a very exciting points race from the ladies. This will be a cracker. The elimination was very, very fast. I'd be interested to know what kind of speeds the lads were doing, but it was hectic. And this one, a lot of K's in the legs for these men. The Australian riders just coming off nationals and straight into this Omnium Championships. It's been a fantastic championships so far. One day to go, and a big thank you to all of the commissaires, the volunteers, events staff, live streamers, media. Big thanks to Maddie Leesgang and the Gear Shop Brisbane. Literally anything you need for track you can get from the Gear Shop Brisbane in West End. The women's Omnium results are up on the board. Chloe Moran took it out. Emily Shearman second. Sophie Edwards snuck in for third.
John Carter because he's staying with us.
Last bets. George Jackson leading on 104, Oliver Bled 96, John Carter also on 96, Graham Frisley also on 96, Tom Sexton 90 something. .100 laps on the board. This is a neutral lap. Tom Sexton on 90. And the gun signifies the start of the race, and it is Tom Carter who rolls up straight away. Long way to go, not as crazy pace as we saw in the elimination, which is a much shorter race. Event number 102, and that looks like Liam Walsh, who's out to a 98 lap TT.
This race is going to be you can take the most laps.
Connor Watson has called it. This race will come down to who can take the most laps, and he could very well be right. Tonka out there as well, and Nick. So they're out to getting close to half a lap. We just lost our scoreboard momentarily, but Neil Hamey will have that fixed up in a jiffy. Even quicker than a jiffy. Thank you, Neil Hamey. He's been doing a fantastic job all week and the week before. And these three riders are getting close to half a lap. Tonka, Liam, and Nick.
A lot of speed now as they make their way down the front straight. Dan Bridgewater there in the lead now of the peloton anyway. George Jackson now at the front of it. Some very quick turns down the front straight. Liam Walsh looking across. Nick Kurgazoo and Tyler Tompkinson with him. Kurgazoo now leading. 93 laps to go, so we're getting close to our first sprint. Tyler Tompkinson leading us down the front straight, 1 lap closer. 92 laps remaining. A look over the shoulder for James Moriarty as he swings up. George Jackson flicks his elbow and leaves Josh Duffy in front. Flick of the elbow from Angus Miller. And the bell rings. 91 laps to go. Kurgazoo flicks his elbow. Tompkinson comes through. Down the back straight we go now. Tompkinson just putting his head down, fighting hard at the front. None of his other riders trying to come forwards around him. The gap between these riders in points is very, very close after the elimination. Tom Sexton there coming away from the peloton to try to bridge, as is Connor Lay behind him. Down the front straight we come. Flick of the elbow from Kurgazoo leaves Tyler Tompkinson to come through. Still about half a lap the gap to the peloton, but it looks like that's about to change with the peloton going absolutely flat out. George Jackson trying to move himself away from the peloton as well. Now it's Blake Agnoletto at the front of the peloton. Oliver Bledden now leading the peloton. Look at the cadence of all of these riders. Some of them have relatively big gears on. They're still really spinning. Down the front straight, flick of the elbow from Liam Walsh. He is starting to show that he's pretty exhausted. Kurgazoo more committed, and now the peloton starts to stuff around. Tyler Tompkinson sees this and he puts his head down, still trying to commit. Oliver Bledden still committing to the chase, and it looks like in the next 2 laps that breakaway is going to be over. Liam Walsh sees it happen. Kurgazoo sees the same. Tyler Tompkinson still trying on the chance that the peloton loses its momentum, which we've seen happen in the past. Rowan Hayden-Smith waiting for the peloton to lap him. As we get 85 to go, Tompkinson swings up, Kurgazoo follows, and they're going to settle for the points that they got now 6 laps ago. Sure, see ya. Around the bend, down the front straight. Lay starting to dip his head as he tries to get his head down and put some pressure on the riders behind him. Look at the splits happening, just the small little gaps opening in the middle of the peloton, really having a big knock-on effect to the riders at the back. Goff there with a lot of work to do so far. And around and down the front straight we come. Oliver Bledden and Connor Lay away. Down the back straight we go. And down the front straight now. 81 laps to go and the bell rings. Bledden keeping the pace high. Keegan Hornblow has come over the top of both of them now. Hornblow is going to get the next points for first, I reckon. And as he comes through to get 80 to go, that's exactly what he gets. Connor Lay now away. Well and truly away as well. He kept the pace on after the sprint. The other riders didn't seem to be prepared for it. So Dan Bridgewater now at the head of what has now become a chase group. Keegan Hornblow leading it. And meanwhile, the peloton has again lost its momentum. 78 laps remaining. Oliver Bledden leading that chase onto the wheel of Connor Lay again. Keegan Hornblow looked like he was starting to suffer. We come down the front straight and get 77 laps to go. Lay sees the distance between himself and the peloton behind, and he reckons that they can make a catch. So does Oliver Bledden. I think John Carter thinks the same and is trying to stop that from happening. He puts in a bit of a surge, not getting many people working with him though. And the peloton loses its coherence again, loses its momentum, and the riders to capitalize on this are Keegan Hornblow, Connor Lay, Oliver Bledden, and Daniel Bridgewater. Rounding the bend and coming down the front straight. It's a flick of the elbow from Tyler Tompkinson that brings Taron Cook to the front. 74 laps remaining, so we're getting close to our next sprint as another rider decides to have a crack. He makes his way around and down the front straight. That looks like Hugh Goff. 73 laps to go. Hugh Goff, another rider with not much to lose and absolutely everything to gain. Hunter Goff, sorry. Down the back straight now go the peloton. The peloton scrambling to A, find a wheel, and B, get some cohesion going. Blake Agnoletto coming up the inside of Connolly there as we get 72 laps to go. Tom Sexton with a lot of pace over the top of Hunter Goff. Goff starting to slip back as we make our way down the front straight. 71 laps to go. And Tom Sexton has about 50 metres on the peloton, currently being led by Tyler Tompkinson. Tompkinson leading them down the back straight, Taron Cook on his wheel. And Tom Sexton will come around to get the points for first, Tompkinson for second, Cook for third, and Duffy for fourth. Cook swings out now that he's got the points, looks for a better wheel towards the back. Hunter Goff really struggling to find a wheel. He's still flying to the back. He tries to take a wheel and someone just comes around him. He doesn't have the momentum to secure that spot. Nor does Taron Cook, and Cook is off the back. 69 laps to go. And it's George Jackson on the attack, the Omnium leader. The previous Omnium leader really changed hands over the past 3 sprints. It's now Oliver Bledden. Keegan Hornblow was a leader earlier on after a previous event. He's now moved himself from down in 5th back up to 2nd, only 8 points off Bledden. It's a 2-way tie for 3rd between George Jackson and Connor Lee. Jackson the leader at the start. John Carter, Graham Frisley and Tom Sexton all tied for 5th as well. Liam Walsh having another go. He tried to almost take a lap before, but a surge from the riders put an end to that. We're starting to still see a good bit of pace from the peloton. That's not going away, which means Walsh is still having to push pretty hard. Half a lap is the gap though. 64 laps remaining in this race. 4 laps before the next set of points are awarded. John Carter swings up. Connor Lay swings up as well. James Moriarty does the same. Blake Agnoletto now. Tom Sexton at the front of the peloton. Liam Walsh very, very close. I'd like to point you towards a certain rider in black, maybe 6th wheel, who was coming with a lot of speed. 62 laps to go, and he is very close onto the back of the peloton. Not sure if he wants to maybe slow down a little bit, get himself the points for first and the points for taking a lap. 62 to go, and the commissaires are now pointing at the front of the peloton, which means they're giving Liam Walsh the lap. And the bell rings now. 61 to go. Keegan Hornblow putting in another effort. And he's really stretching it out. Liam Walsh at the back, just having caught them, is now going to have to deal with all the splintering that's going to happen with the pace increase. Hornblow holding on to take the points for first. Tyler Tompkinson now moving up the track, having led them around that bend. And Graham Frisley now with a good gap to the riders behind. Someone looking to quickly shut that down, and I think that might be Ed Pawson. Down the front straight they come. We've got a good gap of about 4 riders now. Agnoletto on the inside, followed by Ether, followed by Graham Frisley. Behind Frisley, we have one of the New Zealanders. I think that is Ed Pawson indeed. And we've got another few riders trying to bridge. This breakaway really looking pretty strong. Everyone very interested in taking a lap, which is bad news for Liam Walsh, who's moved himself up to 10th with the lap that he took. And we have almost 10 riders in this breakaway. 55 to go. Dan Bridgewater at the front. Now it's Oliver Bledden, James Moriarty. Meanwhile, at the front of the race, a flick of the elbow from Connor Lay. Flick of the elbow now from John Carter and Angus Miller, leaving Graham Frisley at the front. These riders with half a lap up on the peloton, and Blake Agnoletto trying to change that even more in the favour of the breakaway. Doing so successfully so far, gaining another 10 to 20 metres. Josh Duffy not interested in chasing. Tyler Tompkinson is though. Oh, close call there as Keegan Hornblow flicks up into Duffy. Tompkinson over the top of both Duffy and Hayden Smith. He swings up now. Maybe he was just trying to get a bit of a chase going. 52 to go. Hornblow swings up. And the bell rings for our breakaway of about 8 riders down the back straight. It's Sexton in front. No rider really interested in the points for first. As I say that, Angus Miller makes his way around the outside. Miller will take the points for first, Sexton for second, Agnoletto, and then Ether. And all 8 of these riders are about to get the points for taking a lap. And some of those riders towards the top are going to start tumbling down the order if they didn't get up there. George Jackson among them, who had a lot to lose there. And he's now going to try to take a lap of his own, I think. Jackson's still in third, actually. James Moriarty going with Jackson. Oliver Bledden trying to follow, as is Nick Kurgazoo. Kurgazoo swings up. Hayden Smith at the front of the peloton now. Tom Sexton at the front now. Bledden still kind of stuck in no man's land, trying to follow the breakaway effort. George Jackson wanted to take a lap, but he didn't want to take a lap with people who weren't going to work with him. And we get 46 laps to go. Everyone back together. Tyler Tompkinson at the front of the peloton. And he's got a bit of a gap to the riders behind now. 45 laps remaining in this race. Down the back straight we go. We've got a big breakaway that is turning into a bunch of riders bridging there from the peloton. Ed Pawson at the front at the moment. Now it's Dan Bridgewater. John Carter flicking his elbow, waiting for the other riders to come through. And a good amount of speed by one of the New Zealanders. I think that might be Keegan Hornblow. And a move up the track. It is. Dalton Stretton making his way towards the back. Round the bend and down the front straight we go. 42 laps remaining. And there's another little move with a few riders going with it. The instigator of that move, Oliver Watson-Palmer. And 2 of the riders who tried to chase it have both decided no and swung up. John Carter still trying to close it down to Watson-Palmer, and with a sprint bell being sounded, he has a good few points to gain from it. Carter over the top and gets himself the points for first. Watson-Palmer still pushing on, having got himself the points for second, but interested more in maybe getting the points for taking a lap. Nick Kurgazoo putting pressure on the others again. Tyler Tompkinson, another rider who's put a lot of effort into bridging and breakaways in this race. Bridging, making his way down the back straight now on the wheel of Oliver Bledden. Around the bend and down the front straight we come. Everyone trying to get behind Tom Sexton as Sexton swings up. Tyler Tompkinson now on the front. And now it's Nick Kurgazoo. John Carter from third wheel swinging up. 37 to go. Kurgazoo still looking good. He's pushing on now on his own. George Jackson doesn't like it, and he's going to start to close that down. Liam Walsh down the inside, riding along the bottom. He's going to have another go. He's tried twice. Once successfully. George Jackson wants to go with him, and Liam Walsh decides no, he won't. Down the front straight now, 35 laps remaining. We're getting closer to our next sprint. Down the back straight, around the bend we go. Blake Agnoletto starting to make his way to the top. He was coming through on the inside. Dan Bridgewater now leading us. John Carter behind him. Everyone's starting to move up. No one really wanting to take a turn on the front. We make our way around, and there's a move by Ed Pawson down the front straight. One of the Australians, Connor Lay, is looking to go with him. Oliver Bledden just trying to make his way onto the wheel of Tom Sexton as Sexton tries to bridge. 32 to go. We're getting closer to the next sprint as well. So Connor Lay keeping the pressure on. At the very least, just trying to get some of those riders at the back to drop off. At the most, getting a good break. Around the bend they come, and down the front straight, they're going to get the bell. 31 laps to go, and John Carter has a pretty good gap on the other riders behind him. Carter pushing on down the back straight. Now it's George Jackson over the top of him. Jackson with a good turn of speed, making his way around and down the front straight. 30 laps to go. Jackson swings up. And now Tyler Tompkinson turning his legs over as he makes his way down the front straight, leading the peloton. It's now stretched out. Taron Cook starting to slip back again. And the peloton makes its way down the back straight. They're all pretty high on the track, and now one of the Australians swerves down and decides to commit. That's Graham Frisley pulling Connor Lay with him. Dan Bridgewater trying to follow. Josh Duffy doing something there to Nick Kurgazoo. Duffy just checking over his shoulder. Agnoletto looking to chase and get himself up there with the breakaway because it's looking promising, and the peloton is looking unwilling to do much about it. Rowan Hayden-Smith, that being said, has just started to put out a big effort to shut it down. Around the bend and down the back straight we go. Look over the shoulder from Graham Frisley, trying to gauge the damage, and he sees George Jackson making his way onto the wheel of Oliver Bledden, and he realizes the breakaway is not going to last. Now Keegan Hornblow making his way down the back straight. Coming onto his wheel is Ed Pawson. Pawson now on his own, starting to pull away again. 24 to go. Pawson, another rider that's been trying to put in a good few solo moves, trying to get himself a lap and a good number of points to shoot him up the ranks, but so far unsuccessfully doing so. 23 to go. He might get himself some points for first, depending on how the peloton reacts to his move. Around the bend, oh, you can see Pawson really starting to hurt. He's starting to fatigue. His cadence is dropping. He's got 22 to go though, and he's got a peloton that is starting to play games again. James Moriarty at the front. Josh Duffy now at the front. Connor Lay trying to take Duffy's wheel off Tom Sexton. Sexton gives it to him, but wants the wheel of Lay. and he's going to try to take it from Carter with a little bit of an aggressive flick towards him. The bell rings, 21 laps to go. Ed Pawson still with a pretty good gap on the peloton. The peloton with a great amount of speed though. As Pawson comes around the bend and down the front straight, he'll get himself the points for first. It's all about the points for second, which will go to Connor Lay. The points for third, I think they're going to Tom Sexton. Sexton currently in third. John Carter and Connor Lay tied for first at the moment. Down the front straight now, Angus Miller hanging his head as he crosses the start-finish line. Tyler Tompkinson swings up, and there's a move by George Jackson, quickly covered by Graham Frisley, or at least an attempt at covering it. He rolls through on the inside, and now we've got a two-man attack. 18 to go. Around we go down the back straight. Frisley moving forwards. And he's starting to work with Jackson. Both riders would benefit pretty greatly from taking a lap. Kyle Aitken, sorry, I've been saying Ed Pawson this whole time. Aitken, the rider who was getting the points for first, and just after that, he's pulled out of the race. 16 to go. Look over the shoulder from Graham Frisley. Frisley moving on the inside of Carter. And now both of them deciding they don't want to commit to a breakaway. Liam Walsh deciding he does. 15 to go. George Jackson deciding at the very least he's going to chase him down. Tyler Tompkinson looking to chase as well. That looks like Kurt Ether on his wheel too. Walsh swings up very high. Tompkinson starts to push on, and he's got a bit of a gap to the riders behind. Tompkinson dipping his head as he makes his way up the track. Kurt Ether doesn't want to work with him. Down the front straight, we've now gotten from a 5-man breakaway to a 2-man breakaway as Hornblow swings up. Pawson doesn't want to work with him. And the gameplay of the breakaway has allowed the peloton to make its way back onto them. Down the front straight we come, 12 laps to go. Blake Agnoletto leading with another little surge. Dan Bridgewater on his wheel. Oliver Bledden trying to go with him. And down the front straight now the bell rings for the second last sprint of the race. Down the back straight they go. A look over the shoulder from Blake Agnoletto. He sees Oliver Bledden coming, and Bledden will take the points for first. A close call there between Agnoletto and Bridgewater. Looks like John Carter might have got himself a point for fourth there. We'll see what the points say, because I wasn't really looking. 9 to go, and there's a move forwards by Josh Duffy. Josh Duffy has been ever present at the front of this race, but he hasn't really been putting in any attacks or bridging attempts. Here comes his first, very late into the race, and down the front straight he goes. He's looking back to see who's behind him and how far away they are. John Carter putting himself into second on his own, just 1 point off Connor Lay. The last sprint could move him up into first. To be honest, the last sprint could move up any of the top 4 or maybe even 5 into first. Keegan Hornblow would need a great amount of luck if he wanted to get himself into first with the last sprint though. 6 to go. Josh Duffy still with a good lead. Dan Bridgewater now pulling Tyler Tompkinson forwards. Tom Sexton and Connor Lay are going to follow that. Tompkinson making his way around at the head of this little chase group as we get 5 to go for Josh Duffy. Duffy looking pretty comfortable as he rides off on the front. Looks like he's waiting for someone to go with him. Tyler Tompkinson giving him that opportunity and making his way over the top of Duffy as they come down the front straight. Duffy looking over his shoulder. 4 to go. Nick Kurgazoo leading a train of New Zealanders over the top of Duffy and the top of Bridgewater, and starting to close the gap to Tyler Tompkinson. Look over the shoulder for Tompkinson. He moves out of the way of the train. 3 laps to go. Carter on the wheel of Leigh there. As we make our way around, looks like Tom Sexton at the front as we get 2 laps to go. It's Keegan Hornblow, leading out George Jackson. Jackson going over the top of Hornblow, getting very close there as they round the bend. The bell rings. 1 lap to go. Graham Frisley over the top of George Jackson. John Carter with a lot of speed down the back straight. Carter starting to make his way forwards around the bend and down the front straight. Frisley trying to hold on for first. Regardless of who won that sprint, it's John Carter who wins the Oceanic Omnium. Very good effort by the Western Australian. Fist in the air in celebration. That was a good race. Yeah, true. All right, we'd like to go straight to presentation, so if you could just make your way directly to the presentation area, that'd be brilliant. Thank you very much. We're still waiting on official confirmation for the finishing order of the men's Omnium. We've got the results for the final sprint there. Tom Sexton moving himself up into 2nd place in the end over Connor Leigh. I don't think I've won a state medal since under 15. I've never won a national medal. Sorry? Yeah, sure. Do you want me to interview the winners now? Absolutely astounding effort by our riders here. John Carter probably having to travel further than the Kiwis to get to this race. putting in a very, very good effort. Tom Sexton also getting in over Connolly was a good move. It's the last race of the night, so we'll just go to presentations and then we can all go home. And then we'll be back for day 4 of 5 tomorrow. We'll start tomorrow at 11 a.m. for warm-up. Racing, according to my program here, starting at 1. So a pretty late starting day, which is nice. So this says warm-up 11 till 11:50 and then racing. We're going to assume it's a typo and racing starts at 12. Or a typo and warm-up starts at 11. Probably. What's the radio saying? Yeah, racing's from 12, not 1. Warm-up starts at 11. Okay, looks like we're ready for our presentations. We're going to start with the presentations for the Elite Women's Omnium. In 3rd place and winner of the bronze medal representing Australia is Sophie Edwards. In 2nd place and winner of the silver medal representing New Zealand, Emily Shearman. And in 1st place, winner of the gold medal and your Oceanic champion representing Australia, Chloe Moran. Moving on to the Elite Men Omnium presentations. In 3rd place and winner of the bronze medal representing Australia, Connor Lay. In 2nd place and winner of the silver medal representing New Zealand, Tom Sexton. And in 1st place, winner of the gold medal and Oceanic champion representing Australia, John Carter. For the comms. Yeah, wrap it up. All right, that's it for presentations. That's it for day 3. Thank you all very, very much for coming. We'll see you all tomorrow for warm-up at 11 and racing at noon.